My video last week was all about the unpredictability of health and how this can often get to those of us who, a bit like me, really want an answer for everything, particularly when it comes to health, because often it feels like it's just so out of our control. And so I was really inspired by kind of what it is that makes me persist. What is it that makes me go after this answer? Why is it that I can't just leave it and let myself be unwell? So last time I explained about how often we can't find an answer for a reason that we might be feeling a certain way. And this is because logic happens in the mind and feeling happens in the body. And you can't really feel logic. You can think logic, you can think for an answer, but the body is very much a natural feeling machine. It doesn't really do answers, it doesn't do rational thinking. So even having known this now for the past year or so, I still, when I get under the weather or I don't feel 100%, still beat myself up for it because I'm absolutely desperate for that answer. I want to know why, and I absolutely won't rest until I've got there. So I was prompted to think, what do I get for why? What do I get for knowing why I'm feeling this way? And suddenly a penny dropped just one day. And I worked out that underneath the answer, underneath the reason that I'm seeking, is a really strong sense of validation of the idea that it's okay for me to feel under the weather. It's not even the reason. I'm not even that fussed about knowing why. It's that reason of knowing why tells me it's okay. It's acceptable to feel less than my best. So I was really inspired by a kind of situation I had, a health problem where I couldn't get an answer. I couldn't get an answer no matter how hard I looked, no matter how many people I asked. I just didn't know why this was happening to me. So the first thing I did was actually email my consultant, one of my doctors. I think he wasn't concerned. He couldn't relate it back to my condition. And so it felt as if he was sort of like brushing it off and was kind of like, not my issue, I'm not concerned, so you shouldn't be either. And this not being the answer that I really wanted at all, I then kind of brushed him aside and went to my next doctor, who's a functional medicine doctor, which means that he deals with health from a kind of a more preventative point of view. Essentially, he just said, like, accept that this is what your body's doing at the moment, and it's very natural for bodies to go through cycles and to need different things at different times of year, so I'm not concerned either. And I was like, oh, it's the second person who's told me exactly the same thing, and that's not what I want. I want a hard and fast reason for why on earth I'm feeling like this and why I can't fix it. So then I jump onto Google, which I'm going to say is like the worst thing to do ever. Typed in my symptoms, and essentially I was told either to go to A&E or to call 111. And I thought, yeah, that's probably not the answer either. So realising that I was really stuck and was just going to have to deal with this potentially for the rest of my life, there was something that happened. Like when I let go of the problem slightly, when I let go of chasing after an answer, suddenly I realised, actually, I don't think that it's the medical reason behind this that's driving me to get an answer. I don't think it's really that I'm searching for a hard and fast reason for the way I'm feeling like this. I think really the issue is that I'm waiting for someone to tell me that it is okay for me to feel the way I do, like less than my best. It's okay for me to never be full. It's okay for me to be wanting to eat the whole time, even though in my head that wasn't okay. So even once I kind of had that answer, I'd had one of my doctors say to me, don't worry about it, like it's okay. It still didn't cut it. I still didn't feel like I was able to carry on like this without having some sort of real reason, like someone to say, yeah, it's okay, I approve of you feeling unwell, like that's okay. And I learned that actually I wasn't going to feel like that until I told myself that it was okay to feel under the weather, until I'd given myself that approval and that validation that I'd been seeking from elsewhere. it also occurred to me that only I'm inside my body and only I know the way I'm feeling. And so to be asking friends and family and doctors to tell me that it was okay to feel the way I was didn't really make any sense, because ultimately I was in my body and I'm the expert there. I know when things are right, I know when things are wrong. So to ask them to firstly give me an answer and secondly to tell me that it was okay didn't really make any sense. As with everything that I'm kind of discovering on my health journey at the moment, it's not a case of clicking my fingers and suddenly, I put this all into practice and I never have these problems again. Like, not at all. Even really recently, when I was under the weather, I had exactly the same problem. But by becoming aware of it, by becoming aware of what was going on inside my brain and my body and how these were two completely separate entities that weren't speaking to each other, and also understanding my pattern of going after someone else's approval. Now, when that happens again, when I do feel under the weather, I'm so much more aware of it and I can put steps in place to stop myself from getting into those pits and into those holes. So I really, really hope you found this video useful if you're someone who is maybe struggling with symptoms, struggling with not really feeling 100% the whole time. Then please know you're not alone. It happens to a lot of us, I'm sure, and I really love to give space to issues like these so that we can talk about them openly and also come up with ways to support one another as well.